Louie. Hi guys, my name is Natalie and I'm a second year physical therapist assistant student who's on our final clinical rotation and thought I would share what I've been carrying in my clinical bag. If you're interested in more information about PTA or being a PTA student, because that's essentially what I am, make sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on my social media. So, as I said before, I am on my final rotation. Our program does a total of 3 different clinical rotation, and right now I'm at a SNF setting, which is the very first time I've been in a SNF. My first 2 rotations were at an outpatient. First one, they dealt with a lot of athletes because it was a sports medicine clinic. The owners were actually high school coaches, and one used to be a former athlete back in college, so we dealt with a lot of student athletes. The second one was at a more of a traditional ortho type. We did have a lot of Parkinson's patients, so we did have some cases of neuro and a good amount of geriatric population, as you can commonly see in any type of private, ortho settings. This is my dog, if you haven't seen him on my other videos. His name is Louie, but he'll be with us sniffing around. Real life, I did not organize this bag at all in any type of way for this video. I just grabbed it. Yesterday was Friday, so that is how this bag is gonna look like. It's gonna be real life, and it's gonna be really messy because I haven't organized it since my very first clinical, so that's been a while. Just a dirty old regular bag. Of course, especially during COVID, you want to be careful. You don't want to take your nicest bag to a clinical, because a lot of the times, especially if you work at a large facility, they're probably going to have a more public common share personal belonging storage system. So I just wanted something simple yet that holds a lot of stuff. But in the first pocket, of course, I got all types of pens, and I've been having the worst luck with pens this clinical because I had 5 pens that I would put alongside my clipboard, and every time I had to document, every single one of those pens ran out of ink, some parts broke. It just sucked because I repeatedly had to ask my CI to borrow her pen, which is obviously not a good look as a student. And I was just having random incidents where pens would just run out of ink, start bleeding like crazy, just not having the best pen luck, I guess. Here, the first belonging I have is all the stuff that I use in the clinic, and this is the dirty stuff. I usually don't carry all of these with me on a regular basis. I usually leave it at the facility so I could just leave it there and don't have to worry about contamination, but I brought it home, of course, for the weekend so I could wash. We do wear a face shield, and this is gonna depend on which facility you work at, which state you work at, I'm sure, and yeah, it's just all gonna be dependent on the setting, which clinic you work, but we do wear a face shield, and we don't wear this everywhere around the building. It's just for the second floor where people are quarantining. The first floor where I see patients who are not quarantined, I don't have to wear this. This is what goes on top of my N95. So yeah, it's all wrinkly. It's been about 5 weeks since I've been in this clinical, and it's already worn out so bad. Things are like falling apart, but yeah, this is just a face shield. This is a surgical cap. So this is one thing that we do have on at all times alongside with our N95, and I'll just show you guys what it kind of looks like so you can get an idea. The tie is not coming off, so of course I tie my hair in the back and I wear this with my N95, and that's what you would expect for me to look like at the clinic. So surgical mask I had to purchase, and again, this may be provided by your clinic depending on their budget, I guess. But face shield they provided for me. Surgical caps I had to get it on my own. I got mine from Amazon, and it came in a bulk of 5 to 6. I forget exactly how many it came with, but it came in different patterns of 6. And it was pretty affordable. I would say $10 to $12 is my guesstimate, but I'll make sure to link the Amazon link if you guys needed any recommendations. The other 2 items that I have that I took to every single one of my clinical rotation is the gait belt. This one is not a gait belt that I am particularly fond of because of this material. What's great about this one is that it's easy to clean. It is made out of just like a belt, regular belt material, and it is from a PTA kit that you can purchase online. I personally did not want to purchase it, but my program did require me to purchase, and that's the only reason why I have this fancy gait belt. But what I really don't like about it is it's uncomfortable. It will dig into your patient's skin, and this material is just not what I would choose because of the comfort level that it would provide for the patient. But I have it. I usually borrow my CI's because she has the fabric, the soft fabric one, and we do sanitize that after each patient, but it does get wet and soggy sometimes. So another essential item for the clinical would be your pulse ox. This one I purchased off of Amazon. This is a pulse ox, so you just slip your finger, turn on. Basically, it shows your oxygen level and your heart rate, which right now I'm at 98% oxygen, which is great. 68 beats per minute for heart rate. I have a pretty low heart rate on the regular. I think my average, I have a Garmin watch that I also wear for clinical, and it shows my heart rate at all times, and my average is like 58 at 62. So I'm alive, yay. That's what I usually tell my patients. But definitely essential, especially if you're working with geriatric patients or any acute level patients. Definitely a must have. This does come with a nice little string that you can wear on your neck, and I usually don't wear it, but it's here. And if you work at a facility type setting, not a private clinic, they usually do have a machine, blood pressure machine with the pulse ox with it. So it usually comes in a package, but still you want to be extra prepared. Even if the facility has the equipment, it's always nice to have your personal pulse ox handy. I do used to carry my own stethoscope and my blood pressure cuff, and I think I did during my first 2 clinicals, but I stopped carrying it because we normally use the electronic one, the digital one, so I stopped carrying mine around because I really rarely got to use it. I think the only times that I used it once or twice at an outpatient for my second clinical is when their machine would break all the time. And normally I know that outpatients, they don't really monitor vitals for ortho patients, but during COVID, I think they're just making sure that everyone who was coming into the clinic was safe. So that was the only time that I used it. This clinic, I knew that they weren't gonna have time for me to manually take blood pressure, so I just stopped carrying it. It is a lot heavy. The second item is notebooks, notepads. These are really nice size notepads for you to carry because it's not too big. It's small enough to fit into those big scrub pockets. This is so I have one for documentation notes and one for patient notes. So this I carry around when I'm seeing patients in rotation, and this is the feedback that I get from my CI about my documentation and all the little notes, because each clinic does have varying types of documentation that they require. Depending on the types of setting that you're at, it's very different. For example, right now, since this is my very first sniff setting, they do require a very specific, very lengthy type of documentation. So I felt a need to start a separate documentation notepad. That's what these for. I think these are my 4th one, so I did go through them a lot. So yeah. Essential. I got these in a bulk of 6 is what I want to say. I'm not too sure, maybe 4, but I'll also link these because these are my ultimate favorite for rotations. All right, third item is this little storage pocket. I don't know what to call it. So yeah, I just have a little random extra emergency kit type of things. Here I got an extra surgical mask. Ooh. In case the one I usually wear goes missing, just a simple navy one. And these buttons, if you guys didn't know, are for your mask, so you don't get the ear burns from your mask. I also have a regular mask. This is all wrinkly because I obviously shoved it in this little storage that I have, but yeah, I always have a couple masks in here just in case. We do wear N95 in the clinic, but You know, you never know nowadays. I have masks everywhere. I have a box of masks in my car. So I just like to keep things with extra PPEs everywhere. Another mask, just a regular mask, another regular mask. Tylenol, extra strength. You really don't want to deal with any type of headaches, or if you have fever, you probably shouldn't be at the clinic, especially nowadays. But I do have Tylenol. I do get headaches often. I should probably drink more water, but I am dehydrated a lot of the times, and especially during school, I developed easily triggered migraines. I know that painkillers usually don't treat migraines, but it does work for me to a degree for a short while. So I like to always have Tylenol handy. You never know what you're going to be dealing with on a daily basis. Caffeine pills. So I am a coffee drinker, but unfortunately for this clinical, my hours are super early. I start from 6 a.m. and I go till about 2:30 p.m. So I bring my coffee in a mug, that one of those that lock so it won't leak out, and I can just put it in my bag and drink it in between patients. But reality is that I rarely get time in between patients. I'm busy catching up on documentation. So that's why I carry these caffeine pills as an emergency. In the very beginning of my clinical, I was really struggling waking up that early. I'm used to more of a school time, which is maybe like 7 as my earliest. But with this clinical, I do have to wake up anytime in between 4:30 a.m. and 5 a.m. and I do need to start be awake and ready to go speaking to patients at 6 a.m. So I really need to wake up and be awakened very fast. So normally I rarely take this. This is really for emergency. So yeah, but right now I'm somewhat used to my schedule, so caffeine is really not necessary. You know, you always have one of those days. If I go to bed a little bit later than my normal time, then I would take this because I need all the help I can get. Other things are like hair ties, hair bands, hair ties, and a tampon, because you never know what day it's coming. Another Ziploc bag that I have in here is with all the snacks. So I have the bars, I have some ZZ Cocoa Raisin Nutrition Bars, filled with nutritions, Nutri-Grains. I do have a 30-minute break, which I also catch up on my documentation. So I really don't have time to eat, but these are really handy to just, eat during my documentation. And yeah, I just keep a stock and I just refill them whenever they run out. Last item in the bag is a pack of thank you cards, and I've had this since my very first clinical. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have heard before that it's always nice to, appreciate your CI and show thank you and gratitude and all of that. So I decided to just buy a pack of it. You can never have so many thank yous. During my second clinical, I believe I not only have given thank you notes to my CI, but other therapists who have helped me out during my clinical. It's just always something nice to have, and I will know that I'll be ready on my last day of clinical. This is just a nice, simple thank you card that I got from Target. This random thing, I guess I can show you guys, is not an essential for clinical, but this is personal. But yeah, I've had a patient who speaks Vietnamese and who did not speak a word of English. And so this was more during the first couple treatments that we had. I just put out simple wordings like, we are going to do some exercises, let's walk around the room. But now I found the wonderful technology of Google Translate, which is amazing because they even have a listening interpreter. So he will say something and it doesn't always work out. Sometimes it'll spit back a really strange sentence that I just don't know how to react to. But that feature has been amazing and have been saving me so much time and effort with my foreign language speaking patients. I know a lot of facilities, they have interpreters or they have technology to support that, but unfortunately this facility does not. So I do my best to just use my Google Translate, which is amazing. Last two items that I do want to show you guys are are these two, and this is actually from my classes. So I think it has my professor's contact info, which I don't want to obviously share on the interweb, but so these are the 4 manual muscle tests, length and special tests, and the other one is the manual muscle test. Oh, I guess they're both for special tests. And this also has the anatomy, origins and insertions for upper extremity, and this one I believe has the origin and insertions for the lower extremity. This is something that I started carry during my outpatient clinical rotation. You know, you're bombarded and getting hit randomly with the question from your CIs who would casually randomly catch you, and every time that I could not answer the question, whether because I was way too nervous and got a brain freeze, or simply it's been quite some time since we've been in lab and have done these special tests. Whatever the reason may be, during lunchtime I would open these up and review and make sure that I know the answers to them, and it's always a nice refresher to review your origins and insertions. So that was basically it for what I carry in my clinical bag. If you guys have any more questions about PTA programs or clinicals, please feel free to comment below and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.